Oliver Pichon luthier here, and today we're going to trim the top on this mezzo tenor ukulele that we glued the top on yesterday. Get all those clamps taken off and put away. Came out really nice. Nice clean glue job. And you can see the overhang that we have on the top there. And we're going to trim that off with a laminate trimmer with a router. I've got the bit set so that it just goes through the top port there and the bearing rides on the side. Always start at the top, the highest point on the upper and lower bouts, work towards the waist, the tail and the heel. Came out really well. You can see the sides are a lot wider than they need to be, so we're going to cut these down to the tail and heel blocks here. We need to remove that little piece with a chisel. Smooth it down with a file. Rasp, actually. So to mark where the sides need to be cut, we'll put it back in the mold, and I've made a jig for doing that. The sides are tapered, so they are the sides are, the body's deeper towards the tail and not as deep towards the heel block. So I've got it so I can set that piece of ebony on there. And it's exactly 1 inch thick, and it's perfectly flat and straight. You need to hold it in place so it doesn't wiggle around, and make sure that it stays true to the, so that the flat surfaces are parallel to the top. Here we're going to measure how far it is on each side to the mold to make sure that it's parallel. This is a little jig I made to be able to mark the sides with the taper around the curve. You can see how it works. And we just put a pencil along the bottom and mark it all out. When we go to cut this, we want to cut it so that we're about 1/8 of an inch on this side of the pencil line, making it bigger. And I cut it about 1/8 of an inch towards the tail and the heel, and then give it an extra 1/4 of an inch near the waist, because the back has got a radius on it. That's necessary to make it fit properly. It's helpful to cut it in the mold so that you don't have any problems with chattering or splitting. That's a 12-foot radius dish that I made. I'll do a video on how to make one of those in the future. I put this block on there to keep the ukulele from wandering in the mold. Keep it nice and flat to the top. Looks pretty good. We've sanded that so that it's got the radius on it, and just measuring to make sure that the sides are equal length from one side to the other. You have to measure at the same place. That's why I'm using that cross brace for doing that. Here we're just dry clamping in the linings to be able to put the masking tape in there. The masking tape has two functions. One is to avoid making a mess, and the other one is to show us exactly where the lining needs to go. I always glue my linings in so that they're slightly proud of that edge, because we're going to sand them down later. In the radius dish. Bring it over to the other bench because that's where my glue is. This is hot hide glue heated to 150 degrees. When we clamp these in, I always start near the heel block, and we put just enough clamps to hold it so that it's really got good contact everywhere first, and then come back and fill in all the gaps. The reason for that is that we have to move quickly with that hot hide glue. Lots of little clamps. And there it is. We can pull the tape out now because there's no damage of running, and it's not going to smear anything. And we'll just leave it until the next day, and then we can take the clamps off, and then we'll resand in the radius dish those edges. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe to my channel.